Yes, everyone, that time once again for the final cut. So glad you could join us today. Got an interesting one for you from a familiar name, and it is Brandon Slagle, who wrote and directed the film Battle for Saipan, which is based off of a true historical event that happened in July during World War II in the Pacific, where a medical facility taking care of wounded soldiers is laid siege to by opposing forces. And we see how those inside the medical facility make a valiant stand against impossible odds, hoping for reinforcements to eventually arrive. I wasn't sure how I was going to take this film, because as much as I do enjoy Brandon Slagle's work, doing an independent period piece is a challenge to pull it off, but he pulls it off here. He and his crew managed to give a taunt, exhilarating, engrossing war picture that really had me just invested all the way through with these characters. It's partly because of the script he wrote and partly because of the wonderful performances by all involved. Casper Van Dien's Vic and Louis Mandylor, his Major William Porter, these two actors take things to another level that you would not foresee in a film that is independently produced, but they do. They have so much weight and layers to their character. They bring such a solid performance that it elevates the entire rest of the movie, and you can tell everybody else brought their A game to try to match that level of intensity. And I loved it. I think that it helped carry the weight of the film and helped give it more of a darker tone, but more of the tone you wanted, thanks in part to their performances. And Jeff Fahey, who shows up in here as the General Jake Carroll, loved his performance. This is a dark character who is a soldier who is celebrated. He has a reputation of being just one major, no pun intended, a badass. But here now he is put in charge of running a medical facility, which for a soldier like him, he just deems it as like the last hurrah for his career. And Jeff plays it with all of that gravitas, if you want to say it that way, that you need for that role. And yeah, he puts in a very sympathetic, bittersweet role for sure. Stein Davis plays Bose. I love that character. Wanted to see more of him on screen. And Devaney Pinn shows up, and she gets a chance in a supporting role as one of the nurses, but she gets a scene in here as well, to where she gets to bring it. And yeah, I mean, this film could have easily come off way too campy or cheesy or whatever you want to call it, but they bring it here and really give it some of the weight that it deserves. Now, the opposing forces, the Japanese forces, most of those characters are just basic soldiers who show up and either are killed or killing people. There's not a whole lot we see from that side outside of the one general who's very, very scary. That character guy, oh man. Whew, every time he showed up, you're just like, oh man, you get chills, but everybody else in here just is to really either kill the other soldiers or be killed. And that's, you'll have that for a film. You can only cover so much with a movie like this. I will say the action scenes were phenomenal in here. The way they choreographed the fight scenes, especially one that's in the hallway, in one scene involving both Louis Mandylor and Casper Van Dien characters in particular. I really liked how that was directed. There are a couple of choices during the fights that you were like, why didn't they just... But they were so well done, and you're so into the action that you don't mind that you have a couple of those questions out there. But Battle for Saipan is a solidly directed film, probably one of Brandon's best movies to date. It's just an all-around, well-crafted movie, giving weight to an actual historical event which had weight to it. And in the end, I think it will surprise teases you, showing you just what indie films can do and why I enjoy indie cinema so much, because you always get surprises, and Battle for Saipan is one of those. So check it out, folks. If you have, please leave your comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts. Please check out our Patreon. We got a lot of great tiers there for reasonable price. And subscribe, bells and whistles, and all here onto YouTube. Thank you for your support. And remember, keep that ticket stub.